Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative podcast, the podcast and talk show where we have digital discussions for the worlds of pop culture, TV, film, music, social media, sports, lifestyle, everything really depending on the guest. We talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On social media, you know me as PD Beats. My guest is the guitarist of a band called August Burns Red. We're talking to JB Brubaker. JB, welcome to Popternative, man.
Hey, what's up, man? Thank you for having me on. Happy to be here.
No problem. I mean, for people that kind of listen to August Burns Red, you guys love the yearly tradition of putting out holiday and Christmas covers and Christmas songs. So, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Every year, we're rocking, Carol of Bells, we're rocking the Home Alone theme. And then it's like you get this whole notification on Spotify, All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey. And then you're kind of just like, of course. You know what I mean? Like, of course this is going to come, right?
Well, there's only so many smash hit Christmas songs out there, so it was just a matter of time before we tackled the Mariah Carey All I Want for Christmas Is You.
And it's just like one of those things where you guys have been able to do those consistently every year. There's like a new one, because I believe Carol Bells, you don't understand, like everyone, that was like the talk of the town. Like I remember being in school, like everyone was talking about the August Burns Red Carol of the Bells cover. What has the reception been with this new one, JB?
Well, honestly, I feel like people are talking more about the cover art than the actual song.
Yep.
Because for those who don't know, the cover art is our singer Jake dressed in a sexy Santa costume, recreating the original album cover that Mariah Carey did. So the cover art's ridiculous.
Ironically, you can't hear him on the song too.
You said ironically you can't hear him.
He's not on. It's
right? Yeah, he's not even on the song. It's an instrumental version, but we used our singer for the single artwork. So
no, absolutely. And of course, it is a weird time right now. The band did their 15-year anniversary for Thrill Seeker. You guys did that. That was amazing. Congrats on that. But coming up now, December 12th, there's going to be a Christmas show as well that you're going to stream.
Yeah, we're doing. We've been doing an annual Christmas show since 2006, and we were wondering if we were even going to be able to do it this year because of the pandemic. And with the success of the Thrill Seeker show, we decided we're just going to do a live stream version of Christmas Burns Red this year. So that's what we've been working on lately. A lot of prep and planning goes into this stuff, but it's exciting and nice to have a project to work on and to have a purpose as a band, because obviously touring was the main thing we did, and that went away this year. So I'm glad to be able to play again.
No, absolutely. This is a question I asked your drummer last year, Matt Griner, when he was on the show. And I'm excited to ask you this, because if you ask anyone in the band this question, you'll probably get different answers from everyone else in the band. But you look at August Burns Red, a band that's been so important in the metal genre, the metalcore genre over the years, and there's you have fans from all over the world. There's a lot of different reasons, I think, why someone would like August Burns Red. There's the heavy component, there's the messaging, there's the consistency of the albums every year, where you guys experiment, but it's always an August Burns Red album. For you specifically, being doing this for so long, JB, what do you think is hitting stride with the audience and August Burns Red? Is there one that I mentioned that kind of stands out, like why it's been working?
I think that people who like our band have stuck around for so long because of our consistency.
Yeah, that's where I agree. I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. If you like the sound that we have, then you're kind of locked in, because we haven't, we've kept the foundation of our sound hasn't changed. Yeah. We've experimented, like you said, we've gone around that sound, but we've always had that level of consistency that I think that has kept people who like us excited about us for all these years.
No, absolutely. And you know what? there's a lot of, melodic, especially you, the guitarist, your melodic solos and everything. And there's a lot of like groove in August Burns Red for over the years in the records. There's groovy kind of guitar parts, slow parts. But let's be honest. I mean, a big part of August Burns Red's success is the heaviness. And how important is it every album to put out a song like Bloodletter, a song that is like, let's be honest, it's an August Burns Red record. There's going to be the heavy stuff. Like that's an important part of it too, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's part of that foundational sound that we have.
That song crushes, man. Like that's probably one of the heaviest August Burns Red songs out there. That's on the new record.
Yeah, I think it is the heaviest thing we've ever done for sure. And I'm stoked on that song. I can't wait to actually play it for live audiences. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah.
But when we write our records, I've said this in past interviews, so I apologize if people have heard this already, but when we were writing Guardians, our latest record, we had maybe 8 songs done between our bassist Dustin and I, who do the songwriting. And we showed them to Jake after we had recorded them, our singer Jake, and he was like, yeah, these songs are cool, but like, I'm wondering if we're missing like some of the heavy like bangers. Like, I don't know if there's like I don't know if this is as heavy as we usually are. And then Dustin and I were like, oh man, we better write some heavy jams. And then we wrote a bunch of heavy songs, including Bloodletter and a couple of the other heavier songs on Guardians. And now I feel like Guardians came out as this way heavier album than it originally was trending towards as a result of, one little comment our singer made.
Well, I think so. After Constellations, it was Leveler.
Yep.
And Leveler, I feel like, was the experimental August Burns Red album, because there were some songs on that record that people didn't really know there was a side of August Burns Red. Like, I remember like Pangea and listening to a lot of those songs and being like, this is different. It's still heavy, but this is different. Do you agree that was kind of like a little like experiment transition point between Constellations and Leveler?
Absolutely. Leveler was the beginning of, it was kind of the album that sat in between our Constellations and Messengers, which were pretty straightforward, just like heavy, thrashy metalcore albums. Then we did Leveler, and then the stuff that followed Leveler took the experimental kind of stuff that you were mentioning. We started doing a Leveler and kind of ran with it. Like Rescue and Restore and Found in Faraway Places, I would say are our weirdest, most experimental records.
It's weird. Like I'm trying to be. There's just so many good August Burns Red songs. Like it's tough for me to kind of like think about what my favorite. I mean, Messengers is my favorite August Burns Red record because it is one of my favorite records of all time. But then if you ask me what my second one is, it's kind of hard. I speak to a lot of like people that listen to your band as well. It's kind of difficult. That must be kind of a cool thing when you and the band are talking. It's like, man, like everyone loves like all our CDs kind of equally. Like that means we're doing something good and consistent.
Every time we put out a new record, there's sort of a running joke after we drop a record and start digesting the fan feedback, and we go, okay, well, looks like we got another one that people like that we can, play songs from live. And we have had really good luck with people receiving our records well. And I'm sure there's people out there who their biggest complaint about August Burns Red is that our songs, all our records sound the same. I'm sure there's people who would argue that, but that might be the same reason that a lot of people have stuck with our band for so long, like I was saying earlier.
We're going to get a little deep now. We're going to get a little bit philosophical. We're going way back. I have a question I want to ask you. Yeah. Okay. So August Burns Red, from what I know, it has been the same 5 guys in the band, right? The same 5 original members. You guys have stuck through, or actually, no, that's a lie. There was someone for the Thrill Seeker days, correct?
Yeah. We had 2 different members on Thrill Seeker than we currently have, but Messengers Forward. When people start to care about us. Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. Let's be honest, right? You guys are playing music because you love playing music, but it's also it's how you're paying the bills. It is your job. You know what I mean? Your job is you are a professional musician playing in August Burns Red, right? You have been in this band with the same 4 other guys for many years. And, let's be honest, you know what I mean? I've been on tour and things. Tours sometimes can get tough, you know what I mean? That type of things. There's always going to be arguments, whether you're writing, like maybe you're writing a song. There's always going to be arguments and stuff. But at the end of the day, you guys stuck it out and you're in the band. How important, and still in the band together. My question is, there must be something between the five of you that you kind of have like this agreement, understanding that, you know, like there's something working, people love your music, you know what I mean? Have you ever thought about that from like the professional aspect of it, you know what I mean? Because bands will bicker and everything, but what has been kind of the recipe of success for you guys being together for so long, JB?
Well, I think that we have, at this point, like you've been saying, we've been at it a long time. We've gone through our growing pains with the relationships within the band.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you that we haven't had our struggles internally.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've had moments where I thought our band was breaking up because of fights within the band. But at this point now, after all these years and all these experiences together, we understand each other so well that I think at this point in time in 2020, we're more solid foundationally with the relationships between the five of us than we probably ever have been.
Yeah.
The lines of communication are open. The egos have been suppressed. We're all just working towards the same goal of creating music and continuing our career as a band, because we all, especially in 2020, we recognize how special and what a gift it is to be able to play music for a career.
Yes.
And that has taken, that's just the most important thing to all of us over all of the petty bullshit, I guess, that can come up with just living together on tour and things like that.
But you know what I mean, right? Like, I mean, it's been like since the Thrill Seeker, like Messengers and on, it's been the same five. I mean, people are going to look at that and be like, man, it's impressive. Like bands, like I talk to bands all the time. I know bands, like things happen, things change, members leave, and it's not always beef. You know what I mean? People want, you know, to start a family or do whatever profession. Like it happens, you know what I mean? Lineup changes. But you guys obviously found something that worked.
Yeah. And I also think that we had a consistent level of growth, slow but consistent, since, you know, the five of us started playing music together. And the fact that we didn't have, you know, a big step back or a big lull or an album that people hated and no one came out to our shows for, I think that helped all of us stay motivated to continue forward and to grind through the difficult times internally and come out on the other side, which fortunately enough, we have.
One cool thing about August Burns Red is I feel like August Burns Red was one of the first kind of heavier bands that were part of this transition where a certain music festival, I think you know where I'm going, it's with this, certain music festival, Vans Warped Tour, which is responsible for about 80% of the music I listen to. August Burns Red, I find, were one of those bands where, did you notice that it went from being, you know, a punk rock festival to kind of featuring more genres of music and sometimes heavy genre music? And I feel like that was kind of the time where like bands like August Burns Red and Devil Wears Prada were kind of being, and A Day to Remember, were being put on, you know, Warped Tour. What did you guys think about that? Because like you guys grew up listening to a lot of like bands that are probably on Warped Tour, and then you got to play Warped Tour. That was an interesting thing too, right? The change.
Well, yeah, that was I was going to Warped Tour as a kid in high school back in, you know, 2002, and it was a punk rock festival, and I was a punk rock kid, and that's what I cared about. And when we got our first opportunity to play Warped Tour in 2008, it was kind of a dream come true for us. And we were a small band at the time, and we only got to play about 12 shows, I think, and it was so much fun. And I remember we were basically begging to stay on the tour. We didn't want to go home. We were having so much fun. We didn't get to stay on the tour, but we got asked back in 2011 to be a part of it, and we got to play on the main stage and did the main stage every other year for 6 years. So we got to do Warped Tour a lot. And over those 3 different summers that we spent on the main stage, I definitely saw a shift from punk to more of a metalcore kind of vibe. It seemed, not that it was a metalcore festival, but half the bands on the main stage were, you know, playing brutal breakdowns, and it was definitely the biggest crowds of the day were coming to see the heavy bands, whereas the veteran punk rock acts, which I was excited to see every day, were drawing smaller crowds. And it was just, you know, there's ebbs and flows in what's popular.
So I need to ask the breakdown king this question. I mean, people can say that about you, you know what I mean? I mean, I love breakdowns. I don't know why I love breakdowns. Why do you think people like breakdowns?
I think that they just produce so much energy. I've liked them since I was a kid. As soon as I got into hardcore music, I loved breakdowns. And I was the kind of kid who was going to hardcore shows and moshing and doing, you know, the the shadow boxing or whatever you want to call it, kicking and punching at the air in the pit. So I don't know. I get the feeling inside that people get when a breakdown hits.
It's ear candy too.
Sure.
It is.
It's the payoff, dude. It's a payoff. So
it's funny though, because I mentioned like, it's funny though that same thing too with like Parkway Drive, right? Like bands kind of change and everything, their sound, but like every release they always have that like pounding breakdown song. You know what I mean? It's like part of your bands like you and Parkway Drive. It's like part of your identity a little bit. The breakdown.
I'd say a lot bit. It's kind of a integral ingredient in the recipe for our songs.
But it's and like I said, I did. It's funny because I've done so many interviews and I've interviewed so many cool people, and the one I was excited for, and like I try to do a lot of like behind the scenes interviews. Like this show started kind of interviewing, directors and social media coordinators, kind of the behind the scenes. And one of the guys I interviewed was Kevin Lyman, and I thought that was like the coolest thing because he's responsible for all the music and everything, and it's like that was a very like I had to ask him the question. I never get nervous asking questions, but when I asked him why he stopped the tour, I think that was like, he said I could ask him that, right? But that I asked him that, and I was kind of like, oh man, like here we go. That was the one time I got nervous because like we said, things change, right? Like you can't control it. You know what I mean? He saw the opportunity to kind of try new things, and you know what I mean? It happens.
25 years of running a festival is impressive. And, they say nothing gold can stay or nothing lasts forever. I mean, 25 years is a lot longer than most things last. So no shame in calling it quits if things weren't going the way they used to be. I think that you look back on what was accomplished, not how it ended. Absolutely.
A big part of also bands like August Burns Red was people go to the shows. People go to the merch table and buy an August Burns Red t-shirt. I remember August Burns Red. I think August Burns Red beats Bring the Horizon by a little bit, but like any shows, like shout out to Dave Boucher, Extensive Enterprise Montreal. Great guy, taught me a lot. I'd go to all his shows. It would be like small club shows or big shows. There's at least 8 people had an August Burns Red like shirt on in the crowd, and it wouldn't even be like an August Burns Red show or like a metalcore show. It could be like a pop punk show. It's wild to see. Like merchandise did really big for you guys in those days.
Well, merchandise in Canada, especially like where you were going to your shows. I think Montreal has set multiple times our merch record for most merch sold in a single night at a show. I mean, people in Montreal and that area just are really kind to us.
You play all over the world, but that's a big city for you guys.
Montreal's my favorite city to play in the world, and it's probably because we do well there. People come out to the shows.
That's pretty crazy considering you guys have played like all around the world, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess we're lucky that my favorite place to play is,
not that far.
I could drive there in a day if we needed to, I guess.
Mm-hmm. When you put on an August Burns Red record, you talked about a little bit, all the comments and everything. When do you kind of know when you're writing a song, JB, that you have something good? Is it while you're writing it? Is when you're playing it back? Like when you write a song that you're really proud of, when do you kind of know that this is it? This is good stuff. When do you know? Is it while you're writing it?
Yeah, it's when I'm writing it. I think that I'll finish the song and be like, yeah, this one's good. This song's sick. Yeah. And generally speaking, if I don't feel that way about a song, I'm not going to send it over to the rest of the band to check it out. Like if I'm not pumped, why would anyone else care about it? You know what I mean? So I guess I try to set the bar really high for myself. And if I like it, then I assume that our audience will think it's a quality song at this point in our career.
For sure. And I was also looking at August Burns Red's Spotify page, and I read currently that over 600,000 people on a monthly basis listen to August Burns Red. Do you ever kind of like that? Does that ever sink in? Like how like accessible and how popular the band has become? Like that's a lot of people listening to August Burns Red on a monthly basis, JB.
It's funny because I never really think about it in those terms. I see a lot of statistics on what our peers are doing and other bands that are bigger than us. So I just say to myself, oh yeah, cool. Yeah, we're doing this, but Parkway Drive's doing that. You know, like I always want to, we're always looking ahead, I guess.
Oh,
so yeah,
absolutely.
when you look at it in a vacuum, that's a really awesome statistic. And if I think about 600,000 people in one place, like it's hard to wrap your mind around that. And it is really cool.
Yep.
But I try to keep perspective based on what I see our peers doing as well.
Absolutely. Now, before we end this interview, I gotta say the vibes of this interview are good. We're laughing a little bit. We're smiling. And I feel like you're gonna appreciate these. Are you a fan of the dad jokes, JB? Do you like the dad jokes?
Sure. Why not? I feel like I'm in that age group.
So I happen to be like a dad joke connoisseur. Like I have them like on like very quick. You know what I mean? Like why shouldn't you trust stairs, JB?
I don't know.
They're always up to something. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
or
I like that.
I used to work at a shoe factory, but I had to quit because it was soul destroying.
Oh.
Or I was reading in the news there was a kidnapping. Did you hear about the kidnapping?
I did not.
It was okay because he woke up.
Oh.
And then finally, I got two more for you. There's this really good restaurant that when August Burns Red plays the moon, there's this really good restaurant on the moon. Unbelievable food, JB, but zero atmosphere.
These are like Jay Leno jokes.
I don't know. I have them, and the thing is, I've definitely recycled them a little bit on past episodes. But like, I interviewed some people from Outer Banks, which was a show on Netflix that went crazy over COVID, and they lost their minds. And I'm like, these kids are like the most popular kids on Netflix right now, and they're like dying at my dad jokes. Like that's pretty
Did you make these jokes up yourself?
No, I wish.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say I'm impressed.
Actually, the stairs one I came up with.
Okay.
But I'm sure it was around like I think I came up with it. Like maybe someone already made it, you know what I mean? But I didn't find that one online. I kind of made that one.
Okay, well I back it. It's a good one.
Thank you. I appreciate that. JB, thank you so much for coming on Popternative, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I enjoyed it.
So they could check out All I Want for Christmas Is You. The song is, the holiday collection is available on Spotify or wherever you listen to music right now.
Yeah, check them all out. But that's the latest. And we have a ton of Christmas music if you're looking for something a little edgier than what you're typically used to hearing around the holidays.
You saw that video. Well, I'm sure you guys talk about all the time of that bride surprising her husband at her wedding playing Carol Bells on the drums.
No, I've never seen that.
Matt Greiner posted about it a couple of years ago. You ever seen that?
Gotcha.
She surprised her husband and learned the drums because he played drums at their wedding and played Carol of Bells. I'm really surprised you haven't seen that.
What a great wedding song. Was this around the holidays?
Yes.
Or was it a summer wedding?
It looked like it was definitely like a Christmas wedding because there was a Christmas tree in the background.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
I'm surprised you haven't seen it. That was pretty cool.
That is cool. I gotta look that up.
And then there's a video of this marching band at Disney.
Oh, I've seen that one.
Yeah, that's sweet, eh? You must have been a fan.
Cool. Yeah, that's my mom freaked out over that one.
Yeah. And you're also a big sports fan too. We got to say you're a big sports fan. Do you kind of see I always like to kind of put there's always a crossover between sports, music, pop culture, right? Like musicians love sports, athletes love music, right? Have you kind of noticed that that's always been kind of a good kind of relationship, the two of them?
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of mutual respect for musicians who like sports and for athletes who like music. Mm-hmm. If you're able to link up with the other side, it's cool for both parties, because of that mutual respect.
No, absolutely.
So we've been fortunate enough to bump into a few, professional athletes over the years who like our band, and I'm always flattered and excited to.
Can you name some? Who would that be?
There's a buddy of mine who pitches for the Pittsburgh Pirates named Trevor Williams, who's a starting pitcher. He's a starting pitcher for the Pirates, and he's a big ABR fan and a really awesome dude who's been kind enough to He's come out to a bunch of our shows. We've gone to a bunch of his games, that kind of thing. There was a Phillies relief pitcher named Justin DeFreitas who was a fan.
That one. I think you've shared, because you're a big Phillies fan, so you shared something about that. I remember that.
Yeah, that one was really cool because he played for my favorite team. So that was I don't know. Our singer Jake is in with a couple of the Boston Bruins. He's a huge Bruins fan, and I'm admittedly I'm not very up on NHL rosters, so I don't recall who the players are, but
for sure. No, it's pretty. I remember the coolest thing for me is I remember going to like a family barbecue one day, and it was all these like dads with their kids, and they're like older, and I'm like 17, 18, and I'm wearing, I think I was wearing like a Del Reyes Prada shirt or something. Yeah. And then like one of the dads like holding his baby was just like, yeah, you're into a lot of that like heavy stuff, eh? I don't really listen to a lot of that stuff, but there's one band I listened to recently, killer stuff, called August Burns Red.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I know. That happened. I was just like at a family barbecue, these dads just with their kids, and it's just like August Burns Red. Like, I'm not into that heavy stuff. I like the classic rock, but that guy's a good drummer, and there's some good guitar riffs on that.
Right on. I'm good. I'm glad we could appeal to the classic rock crowd a little bit.
Absolutely. Where can people follow you on social media to keep up to date with everything, JB?
On Instagram, I'm at JB Burns Red, and on Twitter, I'm at JB Brubaker. So
amazing. And thank you so much for coming on the show. And I just want to also say that, August Burns Red was a band for a lot of people that, high school and everything were tough times, you know what I mean? And bands like you kind of, we're kind of like medicinal in a way, like medicine a little bit. You had a tough time at school. You put your Walkman on or your Spotify on, and you listen to August Burns Red, and you kind of block everything out going on. So I just wanted to say, like, thank you for providing that escape for us, because that's awesome.
Thank you for listening. That means a lot. Thanks, man.
For sure. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative. For previous episodes, you can check out all the holiday songs from August Burns Red, wherever you listen to music. Look out for the Christmas show that they're doing December 12th. Until next time, this is JB Brubaker and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.